Hey guys, thanks for checking out the podcast. Before we get started, I want to remind you about the very cool bucket list trip I am doing in 2026, the Smitty Learns Irish podcast, where I'm going to do my bucket list, hike Ireland for a year, learn about Irish history, town by town, through the mouths of the pub owners and regulars. Because what's a better way to learn about something you love than to experience it yourself? Patreon.com/we3Smiths, only $3 a month, and thanks for checking it out.
Blowjob on the radio? like 10 times. I'll tell you the story.
I bought 3 microphones, but I didn't pay attention to what I was buying. Oh, it's a 3-pack. Oh, I have 9 microphones. What the hell am I going to do? Interview a baseball team? I'm tired of your fucking bullshit. You know what I mean? I'm tired of all of this nonsense that I just want no part of anymore. I'm going to do my own fucking thing. Fuck all of them. What the hell, everything?
And happy What the Hell Everything Saturday, April 1st, 2023. This is no fucking joke. Welcome to the Smit Hole as we click over. Hey, how are you? Welcome to the Smit Hole. Live on a Saturday at noon Eastern Standard Time. It is the 5-year plan anniversary, where there are some people that are aware of what that is. There are some people that probably aren't. I'm going to do my best to not ramble on this. I'm going to do my best to get to the point. But I feel like it's necessary to talk about the things, talk about the goal, talk about what my journey, what my mission is, and where I'm at right now, man. It's, we're in a good place. We're in a good place. The 5-year plan, again, hello, my name is Smitty from the What the Hell Everything podcast. The 5-year plan. Let's see, where do I begin? Because I feel like really I need to recap what that is and where I'm going. I'm also redundant. 2 years ago, it'll be actually 2 years tomorrow. So it's not technically the anniversary, but for my sake, it's April 1st. That's the day. And it actually is the day that I have left radio several times. April 1st. 2 years ago, I submitted my resignation letter to the radio station. I had made the decision to test myself, to take the leap, Really just disheartened with where I was in radio and what radio was at that point. When I got into radio, it was fantastic. And I created, not me, I don't want to say I created anything necessarily, but I created an audience over the course of 13 years, And along that time, really started to believe in myself because I didn't think that I was good at radio or communicating or things like that. I had a hard time stuttering Smitty, that kind of thing. Then, once I started to realize that, I'm actually pretty good at this, confidence started to creep into my life, and that is one thing I lacked for a long, long time. And the more confidence I got, and having this podcast as a hobby, while just being disheartened and over what I consider to be like corporate sounding radio that sounds like every other fucking radio station. You can only talk for 60 seconds. You can't be live. That's the thing. I'm just like, I cannot do this anymore. And when I look back at it now, 2 years later, boy, did I still, to this fucking day, feel like this is the greatest decision I've ever made in my life. The best decision. There are people that would scoff, and do, I'm sure, at the idea of just banking on a podcast. I don't necessarily bank on a podcast all the way financially. I have a full-time job now. We'll get into that in a little bit, because it's affecting how much I do and when I do things. But people would scoff at that, you know, and I like to tell this story sometimes because I think it's valuable. That when I got into radio, the same sort of vibe was happening with like friends and maybe some family. I'm not sure. I'm like, what are you doing? Why would you go into radio? I got into radio when I was 30. And I just felt like the only way to describe it is you feel like you got to get that thing out, whatever that thing is. And I realize now, you know, looking back at it, that I just wanted to be a good communicator, you know. And radio, again, you can only talk this long. When I made the decision to finally leave radio, I didn't know what I was going to do. I know I wanted to build this podcast, but other than that, and I bet you it was 2 to 3 days before I sent my resignation letter on what was easily one of the darkest times of my fucking life. And I remember sitting in the Smith hole, and I still feel this way to this day, when I finally decided, I want to do the Irish year-long hike trip and do a podcast from town to town. I kind of was just like, I remember they call it an epiphany, I think, because I jumped up out of my seat in my basement and literally just said, fuck yeah, this is what I'm doing. And it's a cliche, and it could sound pretentious to some people, but I can guarantee you it's not, because I fucking mean this shit. It was one of the clearest things in my head that this is what you're going to do. You're going to build the podcast as much as humanly possible. What is a successful podcast to me? For me, I would like to have a podcast that's sustainable, that can sustain me financially, you know, where I don't have to have a full-time job, where I can put all of the effort into this, you know. I wanted to do a podcast version of my radio show. And I got to tell you, it's been a tough fucking go just learning how to do that. Because, again, I come from radio where you can only talk for so long. And my stuttering, smitty brain blocks that I have, when I would get into those moments on the radio, I'd be like, and clam up. But you can go into a song and make it funny and play the stuttering Smitty reel. You can't necessarily do that on a podcast, although I have played the stuttering Smitty reel. It's by request if you want to hear it. But on a podcast, you can't do that shit. I didn't know how to deliver the sort of thing that I wanted to deliver. I wanted to do sort of a podcast version of my radio show. How the fuck do I do that? And I look back at some of those first podcasts after radio, and it's fucking cringy. I can't even fucking watch them, because you're just trying to be like this amped up fucking deliver like these radio prep things, and I'm like, this is not going to fucking work. Then I decided, okay, let's do this fucking Sunday morning talk practice that I do on Patreon. I try to do it at least once or twice a month. Just to practice talking. It sounds fucking stupid, but Jim Miller from the Detroit Lions, legendary play-by-play analyst for the Detroit Lions, told me on an interview, he said, I'm like, dude, how the fuck, I said, how do you practice your Super Bowl winning call for the Detroit Lions? And he's like, absolutely. You got to practice talking. And that was another fucking thing. I got to practice fucking talking, man. So that's what that Sunday morning talk practice was for. And man, that really sort of helped me to get comfortable. And getting comfortable with a camera and on a live podcast took a long time, but it's getting there. And I think I've recapped it plenty, right? I think I've recapped it enough, other than to say that my goal is to do bet on myself, and essentially go adventuring and document it via podcast. I want to walk around a fucking island, this beleaguered island in the North Atlantic, for a year, telling stories, learning about Irish history, and when I tell you that it is a fucking obsession, that's not far from the truth. Not one single fucking bit, man. I am immersing myself in Irish music, in Irish history, just to soak up as much as I can before I go over there in 3 years. And I can't even begin to tell you, first of all, how hard it is. I knew I wanted to do it. But the longer you go, they call it a YouTube grind. All the people doing any kind of YouTube videos that are content, you got to get it out. I always hear it referred to as a grind, and that couldn't be more close to the truth. There's times where it doesn't feel like you're getting anywhere, but you see the numbers and you see the growth and you see the comments. You see the positive comments from people. I really enjoy your shit. Please keep them coming. You get a few patrons here, you get a few patrons there. And you're 2 years in all of a sudden. And you're like, holy fuck. Holy fuck, I'm almost halfway there. And, this winter and this last summer, having to move out of my place, up and fucking move. I moved to Cadillac, 45 minutes away from my work. That hurdle. This winter financial hurdle, I try not to talk about it a lot, but man, I thought that I underestimated the commute. Let's put it that way. In the winter, especially. I thought I was going to make more money this winter than I did. But getting through those hurdles, man, and maintaining a positive fucking attitude I can't tell you. I don't know how. I don't know how I have maintained a positive attitude throughout all this, because sometimes it's looked pretty fucking bleak. And I've had people help me along the way, and I can't thank those fucking people enough. But now, let's get to some numbers, shall we? Let's get to the actual progress report. I think you understand kind of what I'm talking about. Again, I have a tendency to be wordy, as the consultants fucking say. Let's see. Where are we at? I want to say around April 1st, 2022, I was around 800 subscribers, and it was a huge jump. Actually, February of 2022, I decided to try to start doing reaction videos because the podcast, it's hard to pimp out a podcast, man. There's so fucking many. How is yours going to stand out? How can you get eyes on it? I'm like, okay, I'm going to start trying to do reaction videos, and I couldn't fucking believe it. People actually started watching them and subscribing. And I bet you I jumped up close to 500 subscribers in just a couple months. By April 1st, 2022, I was at 800 subscribers. And as I hit the microphone, and I apologize, as we take a look at some YouTube stats, I am now close to 2,000 subscribers. I don't know how anybody else sees that, or what anybody else thinks of that, or if anybody else thinks that's impressive, but I'm fucking impressed by it. I honestly can't believe I'm at the point where this page is monetized. I can't believe that I have people from different fucking countries as we look at just the different countries that are subscribed and view this fucking page. this YouTube page. You know, UK, Italy, Japan, Germany, Netherlands, Canada, Finland, Mexico, Sweden. Ireland's in there somewhere. There we go. Only 0.6% of people, but Ireland's not very big. I can't tell you. When I started doing this shit, I didn't even fathom that I could have quote international audience, and I say that joking all the time to people, but it's fucking serious too. I mean, I got people checking me out in Romania, for Christ's sakes, and I see that, and it's hard to wrap my head around sometimes. I can't even fathom that I would have an international audience, but sure as fucking shit, man, it blows my mind. It really validates, I think, what I'm trying to do. And the more people that watch and the more people that become patrons, it's pretty fucking fantastic, man. I was talking to patron Steve the other day. And I mentioned world music a lot doing reaction videos. And he said something to the effect of, yeah, to you this is not how he said it, but he said, yeah, you call it world music, but over here it's just like ours. And I'm like, man, that's so fucking true. And there was another comment of just how isolated North America is from music. It's so fucking true, man. People yell at me sometimes doing reaction videos. How could you not have heard of this? And I'm like, I don't know, man. It was in front of my fucking face. I worked in pretty much radio stations that are bouncing off new music. They just have the top 100 of charts and maybe a couple things that dropped. Almost nothing that I check out now on these reaction videos. I was the type of radio show that would play the shit. The Rock Radar that I do, doing the reaction videos, the Rock Radar was a radio bit where I find a band that's on my radar and I play it for people, and then, hey, you vote, and do you like it? Do you not? That quickly got stamped out by just my picks. It had to be something charting on the radio, and I'm like, oh, Jesus. But if it would have been the way, I wish in a way that I was back on radio. I don't. But for this reason, that I wish I still had the radio show while I was doing these reaction videos. It would give me so much fucking, so many tunes to play on the show. And I say, oh, a lot, whatever. But the fact of the matter is that I am so close. I am so close to building this thing where it needs to go. I'm constantly looking at ways to improve the podcast. I think you'll see some fun changes coming pretty soon because, as I said before, I'm full-time now at work, Bourbon 72 Steakhouse, which is going to have some cool renovations soon. But I'm full-time bartender there. So my time to do content has shrunk. I actually have a backlog, a fuck ton of content that I've recorded that I just haven't been able to edit yet. But I'm looking at ways to liven up the I don't know how to say liven up the podcast a little bit. Probably the way, and I was talking to friends of mine about this. The way that I do the podcast is I just want to talk about things that either happen to me or things that are on my brain, with a few news stories thrown in, just stuff to talk shit about, the 420 break or whatever. But what I've come up with the last fucking, I don't know, 4 or 5 months, even into the summer, where it's just you're working all the time. This winter was horrible financially, so it's just I didn't want. There's times I shouldn't be in front of a camera because I just don't want to talk about all the fucking shitty things that are happening, But what happens is, aside from that stuff, I don't have anything to talk about on the podcast. I'll get a list of things news stories, and I'm like, God damn it, I don't feel like I have anything to talk about. There'll be a week or two that I don't do a podcast sometimes, you know. But the way that I kind of want to deliver it now is similar to how I do the Sunday morning talk practice, where I'm kind of just scrolling, you know. Do it in the morning rather than the evening. My brain's kind of just going in some weird, funny places in the morning, you know. It's fun to just sit here and jive with my coffee and talk shit. So I'm going to try to have more of that element in the What the Hell Everything podcast. But, as I probably should have stated before, the podcast is the main thing that I want to have succeed. You know, I really want to have a cool fucking show that is entertaining, halfway thoughtful, funny, and, you know, where I definitely lack in like technological capabilities and like attention span. While I lack maybe in those areas, I think I really excel in when I'm on, when I'm communicating about something that I'm passionate about and hopefully somewhat informed about. And that's when I'm at my best. And that's kind of the way I'm going to try to present this podcast in the future. Starting very soon. Podcast is Monday. And we'll see how it goes. You know, just trying some new fucking things here and there. You got to throw noodles at the wall. See what fucking sticks, man. And I have to tell you, again, 2 years ago, I had an epiphany, and I really haven't lost that train of thought one single fucking bit, man. I have never been more dedicated. And again, I go back to, I don't know how I've been so fucking positive. I don't know how I've been so positive. But I always stay true to my fucking vision. And I can't stress this enough to anybody else. Just stay true to your vision. You're going to have fucking hard times, man. As I like to joke around, you got to know the dick punches are coming. You got to be able to roll with the dick punches. You know, you got to be able to let yourself struggle and pull yourself out of it and keep the shit going, man, because if you do, good things are happening. You have to see the progress along the way. You have to see, and it's personal growth as well as podcast growth. My whole mission in life, and it's, again, going to sound fucking stupid maybe to some people, is just to get better, man. Be a more thoughtful person. Be a more hardworking person. Become better technically. Become better at everything I'm trying to do. I don't want to make the fucking same mistakes, man. You know, I want to learn from my mistakes and just keep fucking going. That's my only mission. That is my only mission, man, is just to get better. And if you enjoy the journey, if you enjoy the reaction videos, I would urge you to check out the podcast, man. The podcast is good. I am fucking loving it. And again, going to be doing some cool little tweaks to it here and there. So that's it. That's the progress report. A lot of fucking growth, you know. Nothing is going to be as fast as you want it to be. You just got to do it. You just got to fucking do it. And I will keep doing it. And we'll see where we are in about a year, man. Real quick, if you're still with me, things coming up. More reaction videos, Rock Radar reaction videos, going down some cool music from around the world. Not world music, but around the world. Metallicathon, April 14th. I'm spending a lot of time getting that prepared, which is another big thing for me. Just doing creative outlets like this Metallicathon. You're like, what are you talking about? Somebody, you're just going to play videos or music. Yeah, but there's a lot more involved. Trust me. So the creative aspects for what I do, the audio plays like Substitute Santa and Smitty's Christmas Carol and Sleepy Hollow live read and things like that, that's just fun to me. And one of the things I have to maintain, doing creative things as well as this podcast, because I just have to have little projects. the shit makes me happy, you guys. And the fact that you've been following and liking the videos and subscribing and hopefully digging the podcast. I've had more people along for the ride on the live chats on the podcast as well, which took a long time. But, it's little baby steps. Fucking A, you guys. I know I'm rambling, but that's what I do. I am going to get out of here. I am going to get ready to go to work and then maybe record when I get out. That being said, I am out of here, you guys.